Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your Planning Outlook video updated on Friday the 9th of March. And quite a bit going on over the next few days, some complexities to the forecast detail, so we'll try and get something out of it. The basic message into next week is looking pretty unsettled, especially by midweek, with gale force winds looking believable, some periods of rain, and extensively snow still on the Scottish mountains, with the higher terrain rarely actually getting above freezing point, and if anything, that chillier weather is still likely to be around heading past mid-month. Just a quick look at the latest charts for the weekend. We'll go further ahead in a moment. So we've got fronts piling northwards across the country through Saturday. We've got gale force winds ahead of that across the Scottish mountains. Those winds will turn to the south as those fronts advance northwards across England and Wales. With the milder air in place, it's extensively falling as rain right up to the higher summits. Something of a clearance coming through for Wales as we go into the afternoon. Across the Scottish mountains, though, it'll all fall extensively as snow, and picking up the story early in the morning, we see that frontal zone already into the central belt and the southern half of the Highlands. That will advance further northwards as time goes on, slowest to reach the far north, but even here some snow developing into the afternoon, focused on areas around the Great Glen and eastern parts of Sutherland. The far northwest may escape until almost the end of the day. Later in the afternoon, it's probably going a bit more sleety and wetter up to higher levels around Arran, Loch Lomond National Park, and eventually a little bit further north than that even. As we go through the night, that front will gradually make its way northwards. There may be dregs of that left towards dawn on Saturday in the far north, but more or less out of the way. One or two showers are then possible into England and Wales on Sunday, but a difficulty with the exact detail. It may not come to much for most places, many areas having a dry and a bright day after any early low-level mist and fog clears. But towards South and Mid-Wales, perhaps the Peak District, just the risk of showers breaking out a little bit more extensively on Sunday afternoon. And by Sunday evening, something of a front tries to come northwards with a bit more organisation into Mid and South Wales. There's the chart for Sunday, and all a bit of a mess really. It's those little fronts coming up from the south just threatening parts of Wales, but with light winds in place, a reasonable day overall, with temperatures just above freezing point even towards the higher Scottish tops, having had that milder air push north, but the main body of the mild air has actually been taken further away into the North Sea. So it does just keep temperatures still on the chilly side. You're not quite getting genuinely mild air in place despite that lift. Now Monday is uncertain. An area of low pressure that moves across central and southern England may have a wraparound of a front still affecting the Pennines. It could be further north. Some models still have this towards the central part of Scotland for a time into Monday, but looking a little bit less likely now. And I think the idea for Monday for many places is looking a reasonable day with winds fairly light. Just a front that may encroach into Scotland, the west of Scotland later, producing one or two areas of showers that might be quite late on in the day. So you wouldn't write off Monday, and it could well be a fantastic day for many places, with temperatures around freezing point on the higher Scottish Munros. Similar for Tuesday, but fronts I think by this stage coming in from the Atlantic with a bit more strength, that timing uncertain, going murky and damp then across western areas. Much of Scotland may get away with a decent day, but the risk of wind strengthening as south-southwesterlies and turning grey and damp around the west coast. The far north, the north of the Cairngorms, the Northwest Highlands probably doing best of all. We then need to step back and look at how the big picture is performing later in the week, and the general theme is going to be a large area of low pressure that's focused to the west of the British Isles, and various centres to that, but a more organised low may well develop and swing in a deep and active feature with the risk of widespread gales. Wind speeds could well be 60-70 miles per hour or more on some of the higher mountains. The south or southeasterlies, I suspect, which just tends to blow across the higher Cairngorms, parts of the Western Highlands, producing some powerful gusts even down to lower slopes. Overall, it looks a pretty unsettled picture as the week goes on. That low doesn't make too much progress anywhere. It more or less sits out towards the west. It means that south-facing hills and mountains are always the most prone then to the higher rainfall totals. Some snow still on higher ground, more focused on Scotland. I suspect for England and Wales it's more often falling as rain. The far north of Scotland, again, north of the Cairngorms, Northwest Highlands, as I mentioned, will do pretty well for the week as a whole with that wind direction. South or southeasterlies do tend to favour further northern and northwestern spots for the highest cloud bases and the least in the way of rain. Difficulty with the detail, but by the end of the period, high pressure seems to be back around Scandinavia, which is still blocking the progress of low pressure moving anywhere, and hangs on to something of a fairly chilly air mass across the country. If we just take a look at temperatures, this is the 850 millibar chart. That's around 4,500 feet in the atmosphere. This is at the start of the week on Monday, and you've got values at that level at around -2, -3, I would have thought, on the higher Scottish Munros. You're probably just above freezing by 2 or 3 degrees, maybe a touch more across England and Wales. Through the week then, I think just various incursions of less cold air trying to come up from the south may just briefly lift temperatures towards or above freezing point, even on the higher tops. And across the Lake District in Snowdonia, you may well be nearer to 5 degrees or even above on some days. So you're not looking at freezing conditions across England and Wales, and what's in existence of snow will continue to thaw. But on the higher Scottish mountains, that snow is pretty consolidated, maybe just a bit of surface thawing and refreezing. And lower slopes will tend to thaw a little bit more extensively. Now, later in the week, we just look as though the temperatures fall away a little bit as we lose that airflow from the south. Pressure stays generally low, and I think as we close out the week, values will be sub-zero again by a degree or so on the higher Scottish mountains, and probably only a degree or so above freezing across the higher tops in England and Wales. And there's some indications that would lower the freezing levels a touch further as we head towards the back end of the week and next weekend. Now, the general theme then for the week through until the 22nd of March, so that's the 7-day averages with pressure shown here. Low pressure is focused more towards the south of the British Isles by this stage, with some hint of high pressure, one area of high pressure focused strongly towards the Azores, but another zone that could be building higher pressure towards the northwest of us. And if that's in place, we're still looking at a slow evolving weather pattern where things are just moving around slowly. The wind direction across Britain is more east or maybe even northeasterly at times. So maintaining chilly conditions, I think, as we go further ahead. It doesn't look like any immediate return to mild west or southwesterlies for the country as a whole as we run through mid-March. There could well be further snowfalls then. There could be drops in freezing levels more widely at times. I don't think anything particularly mild, just for the time being at least. We'll keep an eye on those details because confidence is relatively low as we go past mid-month. In the short term, it's less cold than it will have been, but it will be rather unsettled during the week ahead. Keep right up to date then with us every day at the Mountain Weather Information Service, all the written files with your local details for the next 3 days ahead, and we'll update this planning video on Tuesday, also have a shorter week ahead outlook for you on Sunday. Thanks for watching, bye for now.